Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Ready in Minutes workout. Today we have a beginner-friendly circuit we're calling the Goblet Builder because 3 out of 5 of your moves, you'll be holding the kettlebell in a goblet position. So this is also a great circuit for beginners to dive in and start working with kettlebells if they're not too familiar or not too comfortable with them. And for the people that are more advanced, there'll be opportunities here to refine your technique and even progress some of these moves to get more out of them. So with that said, let's dive in and see what it's all about. All right, so nothing too crazy, right? We've got 5 moves and every single one of them builds upon the previous one. So there's very easy transitions from one move into the next one all throughout. So if you're hoping to get some conditioning out of this, I'd encourage you to do it as a complex. But if you're trying to do this for skill refinement or strength, I'd encourage you to take breaks in between each one of the moves. But that said, let's take a look at the first one. So your dead stop swing is the essence of practice for your kettlebell swing. It makes you work on your takeoff, your swing, and your landing for each and every rep. To do it, you're gonna set up 1 foot's distance from the bell. You're gonna hinge on over at the hips, tilt the bell towards you, both hands on the bell, shoulders back, hike back, swing, hinge, and land. Again, we're going to tilt the bell off its base, shoulders back, hike, swing, back, down, for each and every rep. If you're trying to get a better handle on your swing, or just improve the quality of it, this is an excellent exercise to come back to every now and then. Especially as you work your way up in bell sizes, going back to this kind of practice will really go a long way in getting you ownership of that new weight that you're working on. All right, next up we've got the goblet squat. So we're gonna hold the bell in a goblet position. We are going to squat down. Try to get our elbows between the knees. Don't worry if you can't get that low, but this is a good depth to be in. And then just stay upright for about 2 seconds, make your way back up, and squeeze your glutes. If you want a progression in this circuit, you can do a heartbeat squat to get more upright. So once again, get your elbows here, put the bell out in front of you and see if you can hold it upright for those 2 seconds, bring it back and make your way back up. This ends up being a lot more work for both your core and your arms. Following that, we've got our goblet overhead press. So still keeping a firm grip on the bell, we're going to press it overhead in as straight of a line as possible and try to get the bell over our head. We're then gonna bring it back down and pause it in the goblet position. Now, if you've got some mobility considerations, this is a great drill to try to get you to open up a little more. Don't worry if you can't get over your head or even behind in the beginning. Here is fine, just keep working on it and keep trying to open up as you work on your reps. The progression of this for those that want to work a little harder would be to press overhead and to try to bring it a little further back while controlling it to further work on mobility. So you can see here, it's kind of behind my head at this point, but I still have control of the bell. I'm gonna bring it back in front and back down. The key to being able to pull that off will be to maintain stability and tension all throughout your range of motion. One of the keys to unlocking more mobility is to generate tension in an end range of motion. So this means while you're trying to bring it back behind your head, you're going to be ramping up the tension and making sure you're as stable as possible up until you bring it back in front of you in the goblet position. After this, we're moving on to our Romanian deadlifts. You can either drop clean it to the ground and work from there, or if your control is good enough, you can drop clean into the hang position right here. In either scenario, you're going to be keeping the legs as straight as possible as you hinge on over and really focus on the sensation in your hamstrings. So at this point, I can really feel my hammies stretching, and I'm going to make my way back up, squeeze my glutes, and then look for that stretch again while keeping my legs as straight as possible and my back straight. Lastly, we have goblet marching. So we're going to two-hand clean it into the goblet position and raise our leg up to about 90 degrees and bring it back down and alternate for every rep. Now to progress this, you slow down the tempo and force yourself to control even more of the movement. So it's really easy to just march like this for a movement, but if you really slow down the movement and try to own every part of it, this becomes much harder. So really the variable on difficulty here will be how slow and controlled can you do this. All right, those are all our moves. Now let's have some fun and go through it together for 3 rounds. All right, round 1, let's set up and do our dead stop swings for 5 reps. All right, shake it off. Next thing, we're gonna throw it up into a goblet and do 5 squats with this small 2-second pause at the bottom. All right, here we go. And just hang out, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, make your way back up. And 4. And 5. All right, adjust your stance if you need to. Keep a firm grip on the bell and press it up overhead until it's over your head. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. Good. Drop it down to the ground. Reset if you need to. Adjust your stance. And deadlift to the top. And now focus on the Romanian deadlift portion where you keep knees as straight as possible. Hinge on over. Feel that stretch. Make your way back up and squeeze your glutes. Three. 4. And go for 5. All right, let's 2-hand clean it. Then focus on 10 steps with a controlled tempo for goblet marching. And down to the ground. All right, shake it off. That's round 1. Let's get right after round 2. All right, so for round 2, I'm gonna do some of those progressions that I mentioned earlier. If you wanna make this spicier for yourself, feel free to follow along. Otherwise, do exactly what you did in round 1 because that's already good enough. So let's set up for our dead stop swings. We're gonna do this exactly how we did it. Swing, back, down. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Down. All right, we're gonna shake it off. Gonna get in the goblet position, and now I'm gonna use that heartbeat to put the weight a little bit out in front of me. So here we are. We're gonna squat down, put the belt out in front. We're stable, bring it back and up. That's one. That's two. That's three. That's four. And here we go for five. All right, put the bell down, shake it off if you need to. You might need to because that's a lot of tension. Put the bell out in front of you. When you're ready, hike the bell back into a goblet. And we're gonna try to get a little extra range, ramping up the tension this time. So let's press overhead. We're overhead and we're gonna pull it a little further back, opening up at the shoulders. Bring it back in front and back to the goblet. That's two. That's four. That's a great stretch. And that's five. And back down. Bring it back to the ground. Shake it off if you need to. Next thing are our Romanian deadlifts. So we're not really gonna progress anything here. We're gonna keep it the same as we did it before. We're gonna hinge on over, bring it to the top, and then push our glutes back, keeping our knees as straight as possible. For one. Two. Four, and five. All right, now we're gonna finish up with our goblet marching. So, remember what I said earlier? The slower you march, the harder this is, the more your core has to work to stabilize and control everything. So slow it down as much as you can control to give yourself more to work through for each and every rep. But that said, you probably don't wanna be here for half an hour either, so don't go too slow. All right, so hike it up into a goblet. We're gonna go nice and controlled, slowing the movement down just a little bit to work more, but not so much that we can't control it. Three, four, eight, 9, and 10. Feet don't fail me now. Good, and down to the ground. All right, that's round two. Let's finish strong with round three. All right, so for round three, we're gonna lean a little bit more into the conditioning potential for this circuit. So I'm gonna perform this whole circuit as a complex. If you want the extra challenge, by all means follow along, but if you need to take your breaks, go ahead and do that. All right, let's set up for our dead stop swings. I'm gonna perform 5 as usual, but then I'm gonna hike back a 6th time and throw it up into a goblet. 3, and 4. This is the last dead stop. 5. And I'm gonna hike it back, throw it into a goblet. Squat down, hold for 2 seconds, and up. And 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, adjust my stance if I need to. Press overhead, lock it out, bring it back down. It's 1, 2, 3. This is 4. 1 more for 5. All right, I'm gonna drop into a hand clean and I'm going to hinge on over and up. 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, now I'm gonna throw it up into a goblet and I'm gonna march for 10 reps, controlled. Six, 7, 8, 9, and 10. That's it. Back down to the ground. And you're done. All right, guys, so there you have it. A beginner-friendly circuit with the opportunity to progress and refine your technique. So this is a fantastic way to familiarize yourself with some basic kettlebell moves while also warming up, getting your strength work, or even using it as a cardio finisher. So have fun with it. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you have any questions about any of the moves or how to do any of this in the comments, and I'll see you guys real soon on the next one. Stay strong.